NATO has declared Russia the most significant threat to its objectives, to the peace and security of the world and Europe. They have also vowed to strengthen their support for Ukraine. This comes on the heels of Russian rockets targeting apartment buildings in a mall in the Donbass region this week, killing at least 13 and injuring hundreds. Joining us live now with the latest from Ukraine is senior correspondent John Huddy. Hey, John.
Yeah, hey, John. And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has called on the United Nations to basically kick Russia out of the UN Security Council for its quote-unquote terrorism. Zelensky also encouraged UN officials to visit the site of that mall attack in Kremenchuk. This is a very industrial city about 200 miles south of the capital city here of Kyiv. The mall came under missile attack late Monday afternoon. President Zelensky actually released video showing that missile impacting the mall, basically refuting Russia's claims that it was targeting a nearby ammunition and weapons storage warehouse. It's something we've heard a lot from Russia when apartment buildings with civilian structures are hit, that we were targeting an ammunition or something, a military industrial and infrastructure and that kind of thing. But in this case, Zelensky said, no, this was a deliberate attack on a civilian location where upwards of 1,000 people were inside this mall when air sirens went off. Zelensky said a lot of people were able to escape, but obviously, sadly, there were still a lot of people inside. At least 20 people were killed and certainly dozens of others injured. And this, as other Ukrainian cities have come under attack, particularly today, the city of Mykolaiv, which is in the south, came under Russian bombardment and missile attack, one missile hitting an apartment building there, killing at least 6 people, including a 6-year-old little girl. And also the southern city of Dnipro, which is just south of Kremenchuk. It's a place that I spent a lot of time. That came under Russian bombardment, several missiles hitting sites there. This is a town that's very industrial, like Kremenchuk. It's not the first time that it's been targeted by Russia. Actually, when we were there, the last time, John, a major railway stretching over the Dnipro River was hit while we were in that city. And it's a very important city because it basically connects the western part of the country with the eastern part with this very important rail line, much like Kremenchuk. But the concern at this point is that more and more civilian targets, civilian locations like this mall are being targeted by Russia, John.
Zero regard for the innocent people of Ukraine. John Huddy, thank you so much. Well, the Biden administration has slapped sanctions on 5 Chinese companies. This is also new today. The Commerce Department says these firms are supporting Russia's military and its defense industrial base, and now they are on this trade blacklist. The Commerce Department also added another 31 firms to the same blacklist. They include companies from Russia, the UAE, Lithuania, Pakistan, Singapore, Uzbekistan, and Vietnam. Even the UK is on that list. Out of the 36 companies added to this blacklist, 25 are Chinese-based, the vast majority, of course. Now, Beijing maintains they have not provided any military assistance to Russia or Ukraine. They also say they'll take, quote, necessary measures to protect the rights of these Chinese companies. Joining us now to discuss this is the author of The Great U.S.-China Tech War and the Coming Collapse of China, Gordon Chang. Also with us here in studio, retired Air Force General Blaine Holt. Great to have you with us, General Holt, in studio. We'll get back to you in just a second. I want to start with Gordon, though. Gordon, Biden administration officials had previously said that China was generally complying with these restrictions on supplying the Russian military, but you never believed that, did you?
No, and we have open source reporting, John, that China's been supplying location data to Russia so that it can target Ukrainian drone operators who were operating drones made by DJI, that Shenzhen-based company, the world's largest maker of civilian drones. You know, one thing about these 5 companies, these 5 companies would not be engaging in sensitive activities like helping Russia during the war if it weren't for approval from Beijing. And so I believe that the Biden administration, while it's good to sanction 5 companies, really need to sanction the Chinese central government and the Communist Party, because that's where the orders are coming from.
Which they seem unwilling to do. Now, General Holt, to you, the other thing I think we can take away from this here is if, you know, these companies, how just insinuous China is with their parts they supply to these companies, and how important it is that American companies especially uncouple from China.
Well, thank you for having me in studio. It's great to be with you today, John. This is very important right now as a matter of course. But I want to say hats off to Deputy Undersecretary of Commerce, Alan Estevez. Alan Estevez recently joined Commerce, and he is taking the Chinese threat very seriously, and I believe that this is just the start of holding these companies accountable. But this does come back here to home, and they are very damaging as they try to support Russia in this, and the Chinese government, to Gordon's point, is absolutely just lying.
I also want to take a look at this story from the Washington Post here, gentlemen, and it is titled, "On the China-Russia border, new bonds are forged against U.S. over Ukraine." A reporter interviewed a 67-year-old Chinese woman who lives on the border with Russia and China. Her name is Wang Zhuzhen. She says she's lived for decades within sight of Russia. She recalls how frightening and the fortified border was. Once upon a time, she's told her grandchildren stories about a Russian massacre of Chinese residents more than a century ago. But here's a quote from the article here. "Despite the enduring wariness across the river, Wang is clear where she stands. When it comes down to it," she says, "Russia and China are on the same team, resisting what she sees as America's global meddling." Quote her here. "I support Russia," she said. "Two neighbors have to stick together so they aren't bullied." Gordon, if this is the vibe in rural China, we know that Chinese state media is doing its job. And in China, the U.S. is the bully, even though we just heard John Huddy reporting that Russia is killing civilians every day.
Is all in support for Russia and the war. And we see this not only with the elevated commodity purchases, but also with making its financial system available to Russian institutions that have been sanctioned. And of course, China's diplomats and its propaganda outlets are in full support of Russian narratives, propagating them, especially TikTok. This is just very clear that China and Russia are together. And I know a lot of American policy analysts don't want to push the two of them together, but they already are together, and we have to recognize that reality, that there is a divide through the world. It is no longer what was after the Cold War. And if we don't start going after China and Russia the way we should, we are going to lose, because we are not defending ourselves, and we're not defending our friends and allies.
Yeah, General, I also want to look at this picture here. I think we have it. And it shows you the subtle yet powerful nature of soft power. I think if we have that from the Washington Post article, they showed a picture of Ukrainian sausages. That's what it said in Mandarin. We have it here on the screen. But you notice there's a Russian flag stuck in the middle of those Ukrainian sausages. And so, again, this is, something I think the Chinese and the Russians, learned from us, maybe, during the 1980s. We were very effective using soft power in subtle ways like this, but this is how they convinced the people of China that Ukraine is actually part of Russia and not an independent sovereign nation.
Right, and both countries put tremendous investments into information warfare and the propaganda that comes with that. And honestly, most of that is aimed not at international audiences, but their domestic audiences who they're trying to sell a current narrative to. But again, this is where our opportunity lies, because the Russia-China relationship is hardly galvanizing or a monolith, and we have tremendous opportunities to cut those seams if we'll engage in much more elegant diplomacy and a little bit more precision with what our actions are on the world stage.
Last question for both of you. Gordon, we just heard that Ukraine is urging the UN Security Council to kick Russia off, but we know that's not going to happen because China has that veto. And as long as China is still on the UN Security Council, there's really nothing there.
Yeah, so the UN was not developed to handle great power conflict. It was meant to deal with a world where all the great powers were working together, which was the case in 1945. So basically, the UN is irrelevant. It's been irrelevant on Ukraine. It's been irrelevant on the major issues of the world, because the major issues of the world involve China and Russia going after the rest of us. So the UN is just, at this point, a non-entity.
I mean, why won't the UN do this? I mean, it is obvious to everyone except for, the UN,
right,
that China and Russia are one hand that washes the other on the Security Council.
That's exactly right. And so what you have here is an ineffective organization based on how they've taken their seats there. And even when there is not this great power conflict, the UN, we can't point to one of their victories. And so maybe China should be included in the list of countries that should be off the UN Security Council.
All right, well, General Holt, it's great to see you.
Great to
We're
see
going
you.
to talk about UGA football in the
Go Dogs
break, and I'm going to ask